Welcome back, Bulls fans. The Chicago Bulls have officially made the play-in tournament round, whatever you want to call it. And on that note, Nick, first question. Do you think the play-in tournament round games, again, whatever you want to refer to it as, is officially the playoffs? Does it officially count as a playoff appearance?
You know what, Tony? Unfortunately, I think we can only call it the postseason. I actually made the mistake of calling it the playoffs, and I regretted it immediately. I didn't delete my tweet like a coward. I just corrected it. But unfortunately, the play-in game, I think we can only call it the postseason. Despite, I know it's a hot topic in the streets right now, but I think it's just the postseason.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Especially as Bulls fans, Chicago Bulls. It just the playoffs mean something to us as a franchise. Like what
True.
we did with Michael Jordan and I guess Derrick Rose for a couple of years. Like we said, we're just perennial winners. So we don't want to lower our standards to like the Charlotte Hornets or the Los Angeles Lakers and be like, yay, playoffs. No, we expect more. We want to at least get swept
Correct.
or gentlemen swept in the next round. But speaking of the play-in tournament, everything kind of leading up to it. We're going to do a little quick wrap up of how the last couple of games went, and then we'll get into everything. Nick,
Yeah.
what happened to end the season?
Okay, so the Mavericks game, this was, I don't know, last Friday now maybe. Last Friday was wild. It was wild. We ended up winning because the Mavs, they were begging us to take it from them, and we ended up taking it from them by a slight hair. The Mavs, just absolute garbage franchise to just blindly tank right in front of everyone's face. Kind of, it's kind of offensive to Adam Silver. I mean, they're just begging for the fine. I think now it's being investigated into that whole situation, Tony. Mark Cuban has gotten fined in the past for tanking too, obviously. They didn't play any of their starters. They except for Luca, but he played 12 minutes and then they took him out. Now we did rest a few fellas as well. I mean, DeMar and Zach, and then Pat. I think Pat Bev. Vooch played all 82, so good for him. That's huge. Didn't really expect that to happen. But yeah, so basically the Mavericks tanked. They just let us win that one to eliminate themselves from playoff contention. And then we won the last game of the season on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, against the Pistons. Beat the brakes off of them. Won by around 20 points. I mean, and then we ended with 40-42 record, Tony. So even a little bit below mediocrity. Maybe even Jerry Reinsdorf is unhappy with it, but he's probably not. He's probably completely satisfied. So that put us in the 10th spot, or kept us in the 10th spot to play the Raptors this Wednesday in the play-in game, not the playoffs. And they've had our number this year a little bit, Tony. We're 1-2 against them this season. Now, the first matchup we didn't have Levine. Levine was still doing the old load management for the knee, but they didn't have Siakam, who's their star basically. We had 17 turnovers. Their defense has given us a lot of trouble this year. Their length, their aggressiveness, like, doesn't bode super well for us, and we're not a great rebounding team, and they're pretty good. So that's a concern. November 7th, we won, 111-97. And then the most recent game, February 28th, we lost 104-98. Again, the Raptors just suffocated us, suffocated our offense. We turned it over 20 times. The first matchup, we turned it over 17 times. So we gotta cut down on that a little bit. And we did have Pat Bev in the last matchup, so we can't use that as an excuse for the first two games. So, it's gonna take our best ball, basically, Tony, to beat the Raps on Wednesday night. Now, Billy has been a little vague about the starting lineup, which is fine because I know they don't really release it usually until right before. He's considering Patrick Williams in the starting spot over Caruso, just because the Raptors, they're long, they got size, so we could probably use that. He's been playing really well, man. finally we're seeing some return on Patrick Williams, which is great. I want to see the kid shine. So I think, listen, if if he has a great game, you never know what can happen. Now, this is a game we have to win to then play another play-in game. So keep that in mind. But the season's alive. The postseason is here. We're not in the playoffs yet, but I think we have a shot. Obviously, Tony, what do you got?
Yeah, so a couple things in general. Just to touch on what you said about even if we win this game, we still do have to play another play-in, not playoff, play-in game. Like you said, yeah, definitely not the playoffs. So I honestly, besides obviously the whole glory of winning and making the playoffs, blah 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 blah. I think these guys are going to play hard because either way, they're going to Miami or Atlanta if they win, and that's just two fun places. Obviously, I'm sure they're rooting for Miami to lose, so they get to go to Miami for a night. But I think that's enough of a motivator, honestly, just to beat the Raptors. Overall, in this Raptors game in general, the line is the Raptors are -5 at the moment at the time of recording. The over under though, that's what kind of stuck out to me. It's 214. It opened at like 217, so it's coming down. It is by like I think 15 points, the lowest total of the 4 play-in games. So what that means is, Nick, you actually kind of summed it up perfect when you said, we're going to have to play our best ball. We turn the ball over a lot. Obviously, we're going to have to manage our turnovers. They're a good defensive team. This is not going to be, Warriors and you name another, the Grizzlies or something where it's just like 152 to 148. Like this is going to be both teams will probably break 100. Although as we've seen, there were two instances where a team did not break 100 in our matchups this year. So it's going to be a close one. It should be a fun game unless there's some sort of blowout early, then they'll be fouling, and then it will turn into 140 to 110. But this should probably be the best basketball of the play-in games, dare I say, because there will actually be defense played. But overall, Pat Beverley was built to win this game. This is what he does. We saw it last year. Now he's in Chicago. That was in Minnesota. Who cares about Minnesota? He doesn't, let me tell you. Now he's in Chicago. No. He's been doing content left and right in the streets. He was backing up his car today around a car, calling it a bank robbery park job, which is one of the funniest descriptions of a park job you'll ever hear. He's just been having the time of his life, and I don't think he goes down in Toronto, in Canada, no less, to this team. He brings us to the next level. And finally, DeMar DeRozan, let's not forget, still a revenge game. He hasn't won a title since he was traded from the Raptors. Obviously, he hasn't won it with us, and he didn't win it with the Spurs. So he is still upset, I'm sure. Even though I'm sure he loved his time there, he's still upset that they got rid of him. He wants to stick it to the Raptors. Any chance he gets would be my guess. This would be a great way to do it. Bounce him in the first game of the play-in. And then obviously have his own success of going to another play-in game and hopefully into the actual playoffs where anything could happen. Looking at you, Bucks. But we got to get there first. That's the most important part. So, Nick, any final thoughts, final predictions? Anything you want to add?
Okay. It's hard to get excited about this one, but I think just we got to take a step back, okay, and just enjoy it for what it is. It's the highest stakes they've played in this season, so just take it for that, right? Just entertainment factor, get some popcorn, sit down, and just you're gonna at least be more. Well, we're gonna feel more. We're gonna feel something, Tony. This game, whether it's good or bad, that's what life's about. Feeling the range of emotions, rich and meaningful life. That's what it's all about. So if we get our hearts broken, fine, we felt something. If we win, then another game where our hearts will be racing because the stakes will be high. So let's just enjoy it for sports. For the sake of competition, but I think we shouldn't really get our hopes up. And again, we would just have to play the Bucks if we play really well the next 2 games. So what's the point? What's the point? Okay, don't want to get all sad on you, but what's the point? So let's just enjoy it for the sake of competition, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Yeah, I'll touch on that, and then we'll wrap up. I totally agree. It's like if you're, any baseball fans out there, it's that one game wild card. For football, that's the entire playoffs. It's a one game series, if you want to call it that. You don't, I mean, obviously you get that in the NBA when it comes down to, it's game 7. You get that one game. And now we just have 2 game 7s. We got to, it truly is by literal definition, win or go home. So I hope we win. I hope we don't go home yet, only because we're already here. We're already here. I get there's the argument for, lottery pick, and so we could have 1% of getting Wembanyama. Sure. But I don't know, man. We're here. We're here. Why not? Why not just go win the whole dang thing, That's my official prediction, I guess. So
seeing all the red, dude. We haven't said that in a while. We're seeing so much red.
Unbelievable amount of red. I can't even see where I'm walking. I don't know if my computer's on because all I see is red right now. And with that, that'll do it for this episode of Just Another Year Bulls. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully we are coming to you on Thursday happy about the Bulls taking on the Atlanta Hawks would be my guess in Atlanta. But we got to win this game first. Focus on the Raptors. It's all we got in front of us right now. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. And remember, keep seeing red.